All right, 7:45. Welcome, everyone. Our first administrative item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the March committee meetings. So we actually have two sets. And again, thank you to Elizabeth for drafting those minutes because that's a chore every month. And you've just been
Yeah,
such a trooper, Elizabeth. Thank you.
you're welcome.
And are there any amendments to the minutes, either set?
None by me.
Fine by
Okay.
me. They
Okay.
they probably look better than what we actually did. Nice job, Bill.
Hey, we did a lot. Give yourself some credit here. All right, hearing no objections, let's have a vote. All in favor of approving the two amendments, the two sets of minutes, the from the March 2nd meeting and then the administrative meeting for the candidates to approve on the March 21st. All in favor of approving
Aye.
both sets of minutes, please say aye.
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 I
Aye.
agree. Okay, good to go. The minutes are approved. Review the election schedule, which of course is in the beautiful packet we put together for the voters. Um, and we are really on time and on target here. I am so proud of us. This train is hitting the stations right on time. So far, so good. Don't count chickens before they hatch. But anyway, so far, so good. Um, the voter information packet that Michael and the staff managed to send that out before the April 4th deadline. And I have to take a minute here to officially record the fact that longtime Village resident Keith Allen helped us to compile that packet.
Oh, that
Nomi
was
was
nice.
there, and Mike Zielinski, Mike Z, you helped, and of course I helped, and we were a little shorthanded there for a little bit on Monday morning a week ago, and I called up Keith Allen, and that dear man showed up within 10 minutes and helped to fold and staple. So I want to just recognize him with a big thank you, I think, from all of us.
It took a village.
It took a village. That's right. And,
Yeah.
and so thank you. Special thanks and recognition from the committee to Keith Allen. And of course, our thanks and recognition to both Michael Silliman and Aaron for all the work to produce that packet and all the
Yes.
other election work they've done.
Mhm.
Hi, Matt Cantor.
It
Thank you for waiting for joining us. We have
it
two
looked very,
we
the
have two
packet looked
candidates.
very nice.
My
It looks
pleasure.
good. It looks good. Uh, welcome, Matt. We have two candidates on the line. We had Arthur here too, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's great. Who else have we got online? I'm looking to see. I'm trying to see.
Jack's with us.
Hey, Jack. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, Jack.
And I don't see all 10 people. Can somebody tell me who else is here besides
Well, let's see.
is
Jack Fab.
Ola?
Who's
That's
Jack
Jack's
Fab?
Fathom note taker. That's
That's our
his,
handy
his
AI tool.
AI.
Yeah.
Right.
And and again, um,
And
we
Logan.
and
And Logan.
Logan. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. We are proceeding through the agenda here and reviewing the election schedule. The March election work went really well. It's delightful to have five candidates in a competitive election. The voter information packets, I think, do look good. Thank you to everybody on that. Ballot packets are still in progress, but we did get another correction. Another. We gave Electech our corrections last week. They hadn't made them all, so we've had to go around with them a couple times on that. And I believe it's now correct with the ballot packet, and we should take a look at that. We could do that after the meeting tonight because that's administrative, but I think that the last ballot packet revision that Electech sent us is now finally correct. So we all take a look at that tomorrow. You can give me an okay on that, and we'll proceed. Any other questions or comments about the ballot packets or the information packets? Anybody? And Matt and Arthur and you're allowed to speak during this meeting. We enjoy having you here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Nothing else in the packets?
No.
Well, then I'm just going to remind the election committee members that we have our guidelines. We do not endorse any candidates. If people ask us who we're voting for, we do not answer that question. We do not make any statements pro or con. We are strictly neutral. And we treat all candidates the same throughout this process. So even if your best buddy says, gee, who are you going to vote for? The answer is you should vote for whoever you think best. Right? We do not comment. Everybody clear on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, just a reminder, we keep these things clean as a whistle. Okay. Does everybody on the committee have access to the email, to the committee email? That's
Yep.
got it? Yeah. Can everybody do that? Jack, you of course can get it, right? Elizabeth and
Uh,
Naomi?
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know what I've done with the password, Marty. I know I have it somewhere. Is it possible to resend that?
Yes.
Okay.
Michael Silliman, can you resend that to Elizabeth?
Uh, uh, could you send to me too as well?
And
Okay.
sorry, what am I resending?
You're resetting the password for the VMA elections email, our official village email, to
For the letter
Elizabeth
tracking.
and to Jack.
Okay, yes, I sent that to you earlier today, so I will forward that on.
Okay, if you will.
Thank you.
Okay, this is for the regular email. We also, while we're on the subject of email access, with Michael's help, Electech has confirmed that they will be doing the postal tracking on the ballot return envelopes that our voters send in by mail. And there's a separate email for that. So, Michael, I think you sent that to me today, the postal tracking email. And I will send that one to everybody because you sent it to me in a format that I think I can do that easily. So we've actually got, for the EC team here, we've actually got two emails now that we're going to be working over the next few weeks. One is the one where residents can email us as a committee if they need replacement ballots or if they have questions about voting or if the candidates have a question. The VMA elections email is the one that everybody uses. It's our public access email. And we all kind of need to keep an eye on that and make sure that we're always responding very quickly to people, just as a matter of courtesy and good
Yeah.
process.
Hmm.
Okay. The second email, the one about the postal tracking, I would like to have at least two volunteers tonight at this meeting agree to help monitor that one with me. And that's the one where you get, when you do the postal tracking with the system we've had, you get hundreds of emails. Every time they sent a ballot packet out, well, rather, no, this is just on the return envelope. So we did simplify it this year. The tracking is just on the ballot return envelopes from our voters back to Electech. What happens is that with the tracking system, every time that return ballot envelope goes through a postal system reader, we get an email on the tracking email. And that ends up, if you have 200 ballots coming back, that's several hundred, 400, 600, 800 emails. And the way to handle that is to sort it by the tracking number or by the item number. Last year, what I did was the item number, which is the 6-digit voter security number, is part of the tracking data system. And I was able to go through with my IT guy's help and just sort all the emails by the security number. So if you were voter number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you put in that number, sort in that number, and I was able to see that that ballot packet was returned and it went through the Baltimore sorting center on such date and it went to the Phillies sorting center on 2 days later and was delivered to Electric in New Jersey 2 days after that. So it's not a lot of work. It's a lot of emails though, because it's not a very efficient system. It just sends us an email every time that packet goes through a postal reader. Does that make sense? Any questions about the
Well,
tracking?
what, Marty, what is this compared against in order to say it's been delivered or it hasn't? I mean, is there
Right.
like
Yeah.
a
What we
master
look
list
for,
of tracking numbers that
the
we'd
list
have?
of tracking numbers. And so we're looking if ballot number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was
Mhm.
entered into the system at any point, we check it to make sure that it arrived at the final destination. So the last email we would get for that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 envelope would be the Cinnamonson, New Jersey delivered notice. And last year there was one ballot. I did the sort based on the ID numbers, the security numbers. And there was one ballot that clearly had been entered into the system. Somebody mailed it, but had not been listed as arriving in New Jersey. And the first step there is I called um, Nikki at Electric. And before you go to the post office, you check to see maybe it just didn't get registered on the arrival end, when it reached its destination. And Nikki was kind enough to have, she wasn't in the office, but one of her fellow staffers was. And that guy went through the VMA envelopes and found that, in fact, it had been delivered, that the tracking system had a failure of recording it, not that it hadn't gotten there. It had gotten there. So that was a relief to me because the next step, if it's not in New Jersey, is that we and Electech and Michael Silliman, have to call the post office and start trying to find it. Because, if we have more ballots lost in transit by the post office, and then we have the margin of difference between two candidates, we can't really, in good faith, I think, certify the election because we don't know. Does that make sense? You look thoughtful there, Mike Z. What are you thinking?
No, well, it makes sense, but I'm just wondering how often you look at this thing and what you're looking for.
I
Yeah.
only
You're going to
looked
get
at
a
it.
lot of partial, oh, it's so and so and so. You don't need to know that. You need to know the end
Right,
when we
right. If
deliver it.
it shows up in the system at all, that means somebody mailed it.
Right,
And our question is just yes or no, did it get to New Jersey?
right.
So everything in between then, I mean, if it went by way of Kalamazoo, we don't care, as long as it got to New Jersey. So it basically, I looked at it probably 4 times. When the ballots were first starting to come in, the way people return ballots in mail vote elections is interesting. It's a double hump distribution. There's a whole group of voters who vote right away within 2 or 3 days of getting their ballot. And so you get this clump that comes in right away. And I did the tracking analysis on that clump just to see how fast they were arriving. And they had all arrived, and most of them arrived within 5 or 6 days. So that was reassuring. Um, and then I did another check like a week later, and then another check a week later, and then a final check a day or two before the vote counting date. And that was when I found on that last check, the fourth check, I found the one that had been mailed by somebody but had not arrived. And that was the one that Electec then found did come but just hadn't registered. Other questions about the tracking system?
Well, yeah, not having looked at this, you're going to get a notification at every step of the process for the same ballot. Is that what's going to
Hmm.
happen in those emails? So there'll be
That's
multiple
right.
emails per ballot.
That's right. And then you sort all the emails by the ballot security number. It's the package number, if you want to think of it that way.
Uh-huh.
Like you could, if you were running a business, you could use this tracking system to track whether your customers got their package.
But how do you sort it? You sort it manually, or you have some kind of a program set up with the
I
numbers
went
in?
I went
What?
to my IT guy and said, "Give me a sort function." And my IT guy did it and sorted it and gave it back to me. So I don't actually know the mechanics of that. Jack, you probably can do a sort like that.
Um, I just don't know what functionality is. This is all in the VMA election committee email.
No, it's on a separate tracking email because we don't want to swamp our VMA elections email, which we use for like voter requests and candidate requests and things like that. So that's why started saying, there's 2 emails now. One is our regular VMA elections email where people can send, requests for replacement ballot or get in touch with us. This is a separate tracking email, and I'll send it around to everybody after the meeting tonight.
Is
Um,
it is it hosted in like Outlook or Gmail?
I believe so, probably Outlook, but I don't know that. You could take a look at it, and again, I'm just
What it?
alerting you that
Mhm.
there is this and that we need to get up to speed on it. And I'm looking for 2 volunteers to help me handle it this year. It doesn't take a lot of time to do the sorting, or at least it didn't last year.
How do you divvy?
Also,
Yeah, go ahead. How do you divvy this up? I don't.
I know it's not a divvy it up. I think we both look at it. If you wanted to be the volunteer on this, you and I would both look at it.
So the idea
What,
is
each day together? We're on the same machine or what? I'm not
No,
understanding.
no, no, separately, separately. I could say to you, Mike, would you check the tracking email, you know, in the next day or two and make sure that everything's arriving, so far. And you would do the sort and say, okay, it looks like everything that came in is now in New Jersey. Um, or Jack or Elizabeth, whoever would like to do it, or Nomi, whoever. So it's not a big job, but it's a job I don't want just one person to do. I would like to have 2 sets of eyes
uh-huh.
on that tracking, and any 2 of us can do it.
so is this the validation at the end?
It is confirmation that ballots have not been lost by the post office en route.
So at the very end, we would take all tracking numbers that were in any email and then look at all of the delivered notifications and then extract all of those numbers into a spreadsheet and confirm that.
I didn't do a spreadsheet, Jack. What I did is just sort them. So I had this list, and I just went down the list to just check the final entry, the final email on each packet that had been mailed, right? On each ballot envelope, just to make sure that there was none that didn't have Cinnaminson, New Jersey as the last entry. So no spreadsheet was required. I just sorted the list or had my IT guy sort the list so that the ballots, I could see that this ballot had gone through these
I
four
think I
checks.
see.
And all we need was the last entry. Did it arrive in New Jersey? Just a yes or no question. So it didn't take long.
And
And
you
I
just
just
do that once at like the very end of this whole process.
at the very end, yeah. And the last one, I mean, I did it during the process because I wanted to monitor how long it was taking envelopes to get to New Jersey. Um, and look to see if there was like, 30 envelopes lost in Baltimore, 2 weeks before the election, obviously, like it was time to go, you know, nudge the post office to let them go. But that didn't happen. That hasn't happened the 2 years we've used this system. The system is
What
called
do you do?
letter
What do
track.
you what do you do if has there been an instance where we didn't have a ballot delivered and had to follow up with the post office?
Not yet, because the one time last year when we didn't have a ballot delivered according to the letter track,
Yeah, they found it.
they found it in New Jersey. So it had, again, letter track is not perfect. Neither is the postal system. If we were using the straight post office tracking system, they sometimes don't register mail when it goes through. Uh,
Cool. Yeah, I'm happy to jump into the inbox and filter and
okay, Nomi, I think you need to turn off your background noise, if you would. Thank you. Okay, and Mike, this has been an adventure in technology for you working with this committee. Do you
Yeah.
want to also take a look at it?
Oh, look, I'm just trying to understand how this all works. I mean, it seems to me if one of us looks at it on Tuesday, we're going to see a certain set of data. Then
Mhm.
somebody else is going to look at it on Friday. They're going to see the same data.
Well, they're
But
going to
that
see
we're kind of
additional data.
by double checking. I mean, you're going to. I don't know. I just don't. I
I
don't
just think it's an interesting system to learn how to use. So,
Yeah. Okay.
well,
I'll
I'm
go
not
look at
interested
it.
in doing it as a learning exercise.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it if it's a requirement for the committee.
it's a requirement for the committee. Yes, Jack, I think that you are well advanced in your classes on all things technological and don't need this as a learning class. But some
Yeah,
of us
I
do.
would just ask that I can do this, at the very end of the process
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
when
maybe
when needed.
Like what, a week before the
a
end?
couple of days before is when I did it, 3 or 4 days
All
before,
right.
maybe in more than two, but maybe it's 3 or 4 days before was when I did the final check. Because that gave us enough time to actually go to the post office if we needed to contact the post office. So, Mike, why don't you take the first check, like after, that first clump of voters comes in the first week after the ballots arrive, and just sort of monitor that to see how fast they're arriving, because it has the dates on it on all the entries. And Jack, I ask you to do the final check, um, so we know whether we've got, all or most of the ballots in a few days before the vote counting.
Doesn't Eclectic do
Cool.
this too?
Say again?
Doesn't Eclectic do this too?
No, Eclectic does
They don't
not.
check that
They
the
don't
ballots
check.
they sent
It's
out
on
come
us.
back?
It's on us. Initially, Eclectic did that back in 2020 and 2021, but then their contractor who used to do the mail tracking apparently doesn't do it anymore. And so we were left in the lurch. And Larry Watson, I give Larry Watson, did some super online research, found this letter track system. And I give Michael Silliman a lot of credit too, because he worked initially with Electech back in 2024 to get this letter track system up and running. So this will be the third year we use it. In 24 and 25, it worked well. And now we're going to use it this year. Only I just don't want to be the only person looking at it.
Yeah. Well, anybody can look at it, right? Any of
Yeah,
us that
I'll
have
send it to
access
all
to it.
five. I'll send it to all four of you. You can all
Sure.
look at it. And the goal here again is to make sure that we don't let the post office determine the results of our election by losing or significantly delaying, our ballots. We only have 640 voters, and a lot of our elections are decided by 2 or 3 votes. So we
Right.
really want to make sure we have all the chickens back in the barnyard.
As I understand this, now the first tick on the track is going to be when the person mails it, and it
Right,
goes through the
right,
first. Okay, so
right,
there should be a relatively small gap between the mailing date and the delivery date, right?
right.
2, 3 days.
Electek is on schedule to mail the ballots to our VMA voters on April 22nd, the day after the forum. And that means people will start receiving them as early as possibly the 24th.
Right,
And then all the ballots have to be received by May 21st, which is our vote counting day.
right,
And the other thing that the
Cool.
committee members should know, and it's fine for the candidates to know this too, is that the way Electic's postal system works up in New Jersey is that they get batches of ballots from all their clients, I guess, but delivered to their different PO boxes. We have a specific VMA PO box up in New Jersey assigned by Electic, and those deliveries of batches of ballots to Electic happen by 10 o'clock in the morning. So the final check would be, what has arrived in New Jersey by 10 o'clock on the morning of the 21st. We have in the past had voters FedEx a ballot directly to the Electech address, which has arrived later in the day, and Nikki at Electech has done us the kindness and the favor when we asked of actually sending one of her team to go check the PO box at 5 p.m. on the vote counting day, May 21st, to pick up anything like that. It's funny. It's a small village, but people care about voting. So we'll see how many voters we get this year. Any other questions about the postal tracking or what happens at the New Jersey end of the process? Okay. Questions from candidates are also welcome. Matt, you're welcome to ask if you have any questions. This is all down in the weeds here, but
Yeah, no, I mean, I read some of this stuff, but this is just for me listening for just to be informative. I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you, though.
we do try to be thorough, so feel free to ask. Okay. Um, Anything else on tracking or the ballot packet? All right, I'm going to ask everybody to take one last look at the ballot packet after the meeting tonight at what Electric sent us, the corrected version that came in at 2:28 this afternoon. I think it looks good, but again, we need more sets of eyes than just mine on it. So would everybody take a look at that tonight after the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and that came in on the regular VMA elections email. If you can't find it, email me, I'll send it to you. Okay, so we had the envelope packets. In the ballot packet are 3 components: the envelopes, 3 different envelopes, the actual ballots themselves, and the one-page instruction sheet from Electic. I think all 3 are now okay, but I'm not going to sign off on it until I hear from you guys. So please, all of you, take another look and make sure you think it's okay too.
Okay.
All right?
Has that been, you said that's been sent by email, Marty?
Yeah,
To
that
us?
all came to us today or yesterday from Nikki at Electic.
Okay,
The latest one that corrected, I think the last bit that was needed to be corrected on the actual ballots themselves came in at 2:28 this afternoon from Electek, from Nikki.
okay.
All right. And again, if you don't find it, let me know and I'll send it to you. Okay. So that's a homework assignment for tonight after the meeting. Okay. Anything else on administrative items? Okay.
What about the EC, there you had the note follow up on EC page of village website? Was
Yeah,
there
it
some,
looks good. It looks good. Our voter information packet is up there and is correct. It looks good. And all the election regs are up there. The election notices are up there. Um, I think that looks good, and I want to again give Michael Silliman credit for keeping that updated as we go. Our election committee reports to the council each month are up there. It really looks much more informative than it was last year, and that's a nice improvement. So kudos to Michael Silliman for the work on that, and to Mike Z for that, because Mike,
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
the 2 Mikes have been working together on it. Anything else?
okay, all right.
Okay. Now, let's go to our wonderful verification contractor, Mr. Logan Rayburn. And Logan, you have the floor. The voter roll verification work was superb.
Yeah.
What we need to do as a committee tonight is,
Great job.
yeah, really, truly, was approve the voter roll so we can send it to Electech tomorrow. So, Jack, you looked at it? Everybody looked at it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Logan, you have the floor. Give us your report. And again, thank you for the work.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. It's nice to see everyone. I have a lot of numbers, I guess, to say. So when we started, we had, I believe, 839 voters, and to finish, we have 641 after the whole verification process. So yeah, 641 is the number of total voters this year. For new voters, there were 61 new voters, and that broke down to there were 43 new residents, like new homeowners and renters. And I included four people who changed addresses within the village as it was like a new entry because they had a new address. And then residents who recently turned 18 or were previously unknown, that was 14 people. So yeah, 61 total new voters. And then for removed voters, including a few like 3 to 5 duplicates in this count, there were 63 people. 2 people allegedly never existed. Uh, 4 people changed their addresses. 41 people moved out of the village, including one duplicate name. 4 people passed away in the past year, including one duplicate name. One person chose to stay off the voter roll for personal reasons. And then 5 people received letters from the EC and didn't respond, although it seems like it's probably 3 people in total, but 2 people, I think, had duplicate names. And then there was also 2 people who were residents of a different state, and it was the same person, but they were a duplicate. And then there were 4 people under 18 years old. So, yes. And then in total for removed entries, including that 63 that I just talked about, we have 195 people. One was an identical duplicate. 104 people had a issue with their first name. 18 people had an issue with the last name, and then 9 people had a misspelling somehow in their name. And then we have 10 empty houses this year. So 2 are from people who didn't respond to the EC letter. 7 are currently vacant, and then 1 address doesn't exist. That was 6607 Brookville Road, and Alexis Spencer walked over and verified that it actually doesn't exist. So,
I can
yep.
confirm that too, Logan.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's the corner of Quincy Street. Yeah.
And I
Awesome.
just have to say thank you for checking every single address in the village. That kind of thoroughness is exactly what we needed, and you just did it beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys. I've really enjoyed doing the project. It's been a blast. I know that was a lot of numbers. If you want me to repeat any numbers, I'd be happy to do that. And then I still owe you guys I'm working on a portfolio of evidence from the verification process that I should be done with in the next few days. And the same thing with annotating the verification procedure. So that
That's
is
great.
about it. Yep. But
Those
yeah,
are the
I mean,
last 2 documents, and you've done again just a great job. We'll be
So we
happy.
reduced the number of eligible voters by about 25%.
Oh, from the incorrect list we started with, yes, from
Yes.
800
Yes.
something down to 641.
That's a big number.
It was a
Yeah.
lot of checking.
The vast majority of those people were it was like John Smith and Johnny Smith, and
Yeah.
they were,
Right.
the same person. But yeah, it was a lot of people. Yeah.
But if we weren't doing this, then would this person gotten 2 ballots?
Yes,
Um,
that's what happened in the past. Not last year or the year before, but earlier, when the voter roll was not being verified. People got duplicate ballots. They got ballots for people who'd moved away 10 years before.
So an important thing, we talked about this before, was coherence between the Village of Martin's Editions directory and our voter roll in terms of naming, correct? That we didn't,
Yeah.
have we agreed, or Michael? I don't know.
Let me talk about that a little bit because
Okay, all right,
Logan and I have talked about it quite a lot.
all right.
I think the way we prevent this problem happening again is that Logan can now produce, this is one of the documents, the 2 documents he still is going to send us, a spreadsheet that has the official voter roll name, clean, verified from this year. Boom. Like in my case, it would be Martha Langland. And then it has the office list name, which is Marty Langland. Same person, right? And Logan is the one who did the legwork to figure out that's just one person. They don't get two ballots. The
Right.
same in cases where we had a Catherine and a Kate at an address, or with Lori Mitchell using the last name Lori Zuko. In that case, the last name was different, same one person. And what Logan did is do the research on all of those. I mean, literally line by line through the entire spreadsheets, and remove, of course, all the people who were on the county voter roll but haven't lived in Martin's Additions for ages, because we know the county roll is so out of date. So what Logan can do now, and Logan, I think this is what you're planning to send us, is give us that annotated list of the spreadsheet, which has the voter roll name and the office list version of the name. So that then Michael Silliman will have that next year on the office list. And there will be not need to check 193 people whose names are just different slightly from one list to the other. So the office list in the future, Michael Silliman, should include, for your use and for the committee in the future, that sort of like two versions of the name. If people use two versions of the name, that's fine. You may want to use the directory name is the one you want to use for the directory, but your office list is the master list from which the directory is produced and which next year's committee will use to help verify next year's voter roll. And it would be just tremendously helpful to have the both versions of the name on that master office list. Does that make sense to everybody?
And what does Michael think about that? Or is that his suggestion?
I believe it was originally Michael's
Yeah.
suggestion, but Michael Silliman,
Okay.
feel free to chime in if you'd like. Okay, we'll move ahead.
Hey, just
Okay,
one
so the
question
mask,
on from
yeah.
from a historical standpoint. It seems like a lot of these issues, maybe most of them, would have been present last year too. Uh,
Last year we
was
did
that
a
all
sort of
worked out last year? And
yes. Last
and
year
how
what
come
we
we were
did
redoing it now?
is Larry Watson and I did it. And we did it as much as we could. We spent 40 hours on it, which was the maximum time we could give to it.
Hmm.
Because that of course is happening at the same time we're producing the all the voter documents, so it was like really just an incredibly time-consuming workload.
Yeah.
And we cleaned up as much as we could. We were pretty much right. We had everybody but four people right last year at the end of the day. Um, but I knew we couldn't do it again this year. And Logan did was much more comprehensive than what we did, and came out even cleaner, so even better. Prior to that, it was not well done. In 2023, there were 122 ballots sent to people who were not legitimate voters. And that was, I mean, in an election that was decided by only 24 votes, that
But
was not big.
Marty, Mike's question is, does this mean we don't have to repeat the process every year, or is the normal ebb and flow of residents, that is, people moving in and out and those growing up and turning 18, et cetera, will require that we do some version of this every year?
Yes, we are required by the regulations to do some version of this every year. That's Appendix A in the voter regs,
Mm-hmm.
right? The election regs. We're required to check the voter roll and to
Mm-hmm.
do our best efforts to make sure
Yeah,
it's accurate. Because
but
again, our elections are decided by two or three votes
yeah,
sometimes, so it's got
okay.
to be accurate.
But it'll be easier after this major cleanup
Yeah,
of these variations of names
exactly.
this year, right?
Exactly. Once we now have the master list of the variations on the names,
Mm-hmm.
so we don't have to check next year whether Kate and Catherine are the same person or whether
Yeah.
Marty and Martha are two different people.
Because that's what
Right.
Michael will be updating throughout the year.
And Michael
So
will
we'll
be
all be working.
updating. Yep. So we should have, well, this year there were 61 new voters, and Logan reported 43 of them were new residents. So again, we should plan 40 to 50 new residents. That seems to be our
Mm-hmm.
average voter turnover. But that's a whole lot different than having a difference between 800 some voters and 600 some voters, actual voters.
Can
So
I
it,
ask?
it will be
Oh,
it will be
God.
easier.
Logan, how many updates did we get from email or from the form versus from SMS?
I would say I think the SMS had about like 20 updates, and updates that I used from the SMS, I think probably like 3 to 5. But from like reaching out, calling people and emailing, I probably got I don't know. I called about 100 people, a little bit under, so it's 90 or so updates from that.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. So you got in touch with 90 people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's
Incredible.
how, like, there were a few people from that who were like, oh, yeah, my daughter just turned 18, or my son is in college. Can he still vote? And so we added probably at least like 10 college kids from that, I think,
Which is
or
great.
so.
I think young
Yeah.
voters should learn to vote here, you know. That's excellent. And we also had a number of voters who contacted the election committee through our VMA elections email and said, you know, we're new residents, we want to vote. I know we had at least 6 or 8, or maybe I think it was actually more like 10, who came in through that channel. So this was really terrific. I mean, we really, and Logan, again, you took all the information. You are command central in terms of updating the spreadsheets, and you really just did a nice job. Other
Well, thank
questions
you.
for Logan?
Yeah,
I,
I think your report was your verbal report today was very thorough. Could you, I think that would be very helpful information to have like in our election packet so we can
yeah.
see for future like what tactics are driving the most
Responsive.
like bang for our
Yeah.
buck.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm. So
And
you want like, or sorry, go ahead, Elizabeth.
no, I was just going to say, I want you to also book your time next year about this time. Don't get too busy in your new jobs, right?
Well,
We'll call on you again.
I would definitely, I'd be very open to doing the project again. I really enjoyed it. And I think that it would take me a lot less time in the future after going through it this year. But yeah, I have like a sheet basically that I read off of for this meeting, and I'd be happy to share it with you guys. It
Yeah.
has the counts. I don't know
Perfect.
a super accurate way to break down like exactly where I got the most responses from was because I followed the regulations and I like called everyone and then sent an email. I think if if I had to guess, I received a lot of emails back. That was the main way people verified themselves. But a few people picked up the phone and a few people answered texts, which is funny because they answered texts from me, but they didn't answer the SMS. I don't know.
Yeah, I think personalized. I think that's all helpful just so we can see, if somebody's going to spend a certain amount of time, where to best allocate their effort.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I will say one thing about the first names. So some people, from my understanding, it was okay for people to vote with more of a nickname as their first name. So it's some people, or a lot of people chose that, but some people wanted a more formal name. So I could see some more, I guess, problems coming up next year with people having two different first names. This year, a lot of the like Tom versus Tommy, Marty or Elizabeth verified that they knew them personally and just to use Tom instead of Tommy. But I could see that being kind of an issue again next year
But
or in the
you will
future.
have listed both of the names when on the final
Yeah.
annotated spreadsheet you give, so that we'll
Yes.
know that Tom and Tommy are not two people.
Yes.
That's the main
Um,
thing the election committee needs to know because we have to send out the ballots. So yeah.
yeah. I just want to clarify for this year, there are like some people have more nicknames than not nicknames or normal names, sorry. Um, but it should it should match up with the office list next year if they choose to use their nickname again. So
Good.
I think it'll be okay.
And if you're doing it next year, you'll know what you're looking at because you'll recognize all these people.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Anyway,
And,
thank you guys again. I've enjoyed the project a lot, so
okay. Well,
I hope it
what
goes
you
well.
thank you so much. You've made a huge difference. And, once you finish up those last couple of documents to send us, the summary numbers that Jack asked for and the other 2 documents that you mentioned earlier, make sure to put in to send us your invoice so we can get you paid. And I'd like to thank Mark Silliman for paying you because that's where the money comes from. So thank you. Okay, anything else for Logan? All right, any questions from the candidates for Logan? All right, then I'm
Nope.
just going to close. Go ahead.
No,
Oh,
no
you
questions.
okay? And I'm just going to say again, thank you for the entire committee. Logan, you did a super job, and we really appreciate it. And it should make life much easier going forward. So, yay, team. Okay. we talked already. I'm moving to action item number 2. Before we move off of number 1. One other thing we need to do tonight is formally vote to approve the 2026 voter roll. Will people please make a motion to do that?
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor of approving the 2026 voter roll to send to Electech tomorrow, please say aye.
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 All right, that's unanimous. We've already talked about checking the test mailing, the postal tracking, and the other work on the ballot packets. We're going to take a final committee look at the ballot packets tonight. Get back to me with an email, and we can approve that tomorrow. That's administrative. Item number 3 is preparing for the election forum on the 21st. And I included in the packet this month for this meeting the forum procedure, which is Appendix B in the election regs. Does anyone have any questions? You want to pull that up? It's in the packet from today. All right. It was the last item in the packet. So Appendix B, 1 page, talks about when we have to hold the forum, how we have to be strictly impartial. Are there any questions about the forum structure?
So we call upon candidates based on the alphabet.
What we need to do is rotate them. If you go down under number 5, about halfway down, says the moderator shall rotate the order of calling on the candidates. And what I recommend there is that we not just do them in alphabetical order, because then candidate A follows candidate B follows candidate C every time. And the way we've handled that in the past when we had 4, 5, or 6 candidates was to actually do a random sort so that it would, Alan, Bill, Charlie, and David, as opposed to the first round, and then David, Alan, Charlie, Bill. So you can, or you need to give, the moderators need to give the candidates equal time. That's an absolute bedrock requirement. The order in which you call on them should vary. It should not be the same sequence over and over again.
Right.
So the moderators, I can work with whoever wants to be the moderator. I can help, you set up those sort of randomized. Since we have 5 people, let's just talk about the mechanics here. Everybody gets 2 minutes to answer after the opening statement. 2-minute opening statement from each candidate. Well, that's 10 minutes there. And then you have a 1 minute for the question from a resident, and then another 2 minutes answer from each candidate. So each question is going to take roughly 12 minutes. So in 2 hours, you can do about 10 questions, assuming people take their 2 minutes. Some candidates may answer more briefly. That's always allowable. And Michael Silliman is going to set up the automatic timekeeping for us, to show the little clock there on the screen on the Zoom so that you can see, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, time's up. And the candidates will be able to see that, and the moderators will be able to see that, and so will the people, the residents who are attending by Zoom. Everybody will be able to see that clock. So I think, realistically, if we fit in 10 questions in 2 hours, that's good. And we need to enforce, the moderators need to enforce that. If need be, the moderators can tell Michael, who will be doing the Zoom, to mute somebody if a candidate, routinely keeps running over the time or is disregarding the moderator's instructions. We have the enforcement ability to basically cut their mic at some point, although that's not something I would want to see a moderator have to do. Any questions about sort of the mechanics of that?
Well, then we have to consider the questions that be coming in either into our email address or at the time, right? And how to sort those.
Right. So last year, what we did is we allowed live questions to come in on the chat, and we had one of us reviewing the chat so that we could forward a chat question to one of the moderators. We had 2 moderators, which I thought worked well. And let me just put a compliment out here. It was Elizabeth and Nomi, who were the moderators last year, and I thought you did a beautiful job. So, any of you can be moderators this year. Any 2 people can be moderators. I do think having 2 makes sense. Don't you agree?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, that made it easier, I think, for both of you.
Do we want to review the questions that were asked last year and see if any of those would be useful to ask again. I mean, some of them are generic. They're not time dated in any way or content.
We
Yeah,
can
they
use
were.
them as backup if we don't get enough time. We don't get 10 questions at the time.
Yeah, I
What do
think
you mean
that's right.
at the time? You
If
mean
we,
on the day
Yeah,
that
by
we
the
would,
day. Yeah.
right.
yeah. What do you guys think about that? I'm fine with having them as backup questions if we don't have, but I think we're going to have more than 10 questions from residents this year because people tend to pay more attention
Well, I
to
think those are
testimony.
the ones that take priority, the current ones.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the
So
incoming
you
questions,
only have from those, the deadline you put in the info packet was like 10 a.m. the morning of the forum, right?
noon on the
Noon.
forum day.
So that
And
means that the moderators have to do all this in just a few hours before
well,
in the
some people
afternoon.
some people will send the questions in earlier.
Uh-huh.
And I'll be available to help organize the questions.
Yeah.
There is the one of the things I really like about the way VMA does the forums is that people can also send in questions anonymously by writing a
Mhm.
question and putting it in a sealed envelope and delivering that by noon on the 21st in a
Uh-huh.
sealed envelope either at the village office or to any of us on the committee, right? So if somebody leaves an envelope on your doorstep on the 21st that says election committee, right? That's an election forum question. And um, it would behoove us all to have a little administrative meeting, maybe at 2 or 3 that afternoon as the EC members, just as administrative. It's not a formal meeting, um, just to go over the questions. That's not a policy issue. That's just a, administrative issue. So we could do that. That would probably help, and organize the questions. Or, we can ask one of us to just, be the central, you know, person to collect all the questions. I did that last year, and it was not much work to do that. Um, so we have between now and the 21st to figure out how we organize the incoming questions. There is an issue, although I think it's not a big issue, about the fact that the regs, if you're looking at our attachment B here, Appendix B, require that the candidates may not see the questions in advance.
Right.
And I checked with Michael Silliman to see if any of the incumbent candidates could look at the questions in advance on our election committee VMA email.
Right.
And he said, no, he didn't think so, but he's going to follow up to make sure that that is secure. And, because we don't want to have a tilted playing field here. We really care about fairness. So, people are welcome to send in their forum questions on our VMA elections email, but Michael Silliman will need to make sure that that email is not accessible to the incumbent candidates. It's
Mhm.
certainly not accessible to the new candidates. There's not a
So,
problem
so
there.
let's review. We're getting questions in our email box, the elections committee email box.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be getting questions in the mail, maybe in various locations. And then we'll be getting questions on chat on that day.
Mm-hmm.
So we
People
have
can
to
also
figure,
call you with an election question,
right,
right? Because they can contact any member of the committee to give us
right.
a
So we
forum
need a
question.
comprehensive list at some point, and we need to play eeny, money, mo as to which questions to ask first, second, or third.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm thinking that an administrative election committee meeting that afternoon at 2 o'clock might be useful. What do you think, Naomi? Is that doable?
I'm available. Let me see, the 21st.
Mm-hmm. April 21st, 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Who else can do it on the committee?
I'm good.
Your Mike Z is good on that, so we got 3.
I have some appointment in the morning, but I think the afternoon is okay.
Well, that's great. Just everybody jot down 2
Yeah.
o'clock on the 21st to consolidate the questions that we've received. All the questions are supposed to be in by noon on the 21st.
Okay.
So somebody drops an envelope on your doorstep, says election committee, and it's a question, you'll have it in your hand at 2 o'clock. So I'm glad we're talking about it. I'm writing a note here, 2 p.m. admin meeting for EC on 4/21. Okay. Great. Everybody got that? Thank you.
Mhm.
And Jack, if you can get free, that's great. If you're at work, that's great too. We understand how your schedule is taken sometimes.
Yeah, thanks. I think I'll be able to make it, but I'll have to see what pops up, but I'll try to
Yeah,
keep it clear.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And are there any other questions about the forum mechanics?
Oh, yeah, well, we have to choose two people who would
Well, I'm waiting on
facilitate.
that. Any two other than me. I don't have enough of a poker face and I shouldn't do it. We need to be very, very, oh, it's true. We need to be very even-handed here. You know, if we say thank you after the first person answers, we need to say thank you after everybody's answers. If we just say okay after the first person's answer, we need to say okay in the same tone of voice after everybody's answers. We
You
need to
mean
just
we can't say, OMG, what kind of a question is that?
no, we're not allowed to interject personal comments, body language, or
Oh,
any other
rolling
reaction.
eyeballs.
No roll. No,
Rolling eyeballs.
you can't roll your eyes. You can't snort. You can't you,
Oh,
you
can you
can't shrug and
sneeze?
walk out of the room like what the heck is that? You can't
Can you
do any of that
sneeze?
stuff. If you sneeze, yes, but don't sneeze any more than you have to because we don't
Or
want anybody.
cough?
Yeah, only if it's a real cough, not a cough.
Choking.
Right, right. And again, Elizabeth and Noah, you did a nice job, but it doesn't have to be you two. I know it was somewhat stressful. You did a beautiful job, but it doesn't mean you have to do it again. It's up to you. So, Mike Z, I'm looking at you. Jack, I mean, we're at 7:30 to 9:30 that night, Tuesday night, the 21st of April. Who would like to do this? It's a fun experience. Um, and I'm the only one who shouldn't do it because the rest of you, I think, can do a poker face just fine.
Well, I feel bad for Jack because, you know, being available at 7:30 sharp is hard
Yeah,
with two toddlers.
right.
Right.
So I say, Jack, unless you want to do it, you're excused.
Thank you, Naomi.
Yeah.
I'll claim an
Oh,
age exemption. How about that?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're not old enough to have an age exemption with this group.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'll have a contest with you. I bet I win.
44.
What?
1944,
Hey, which month?
September.
Well, I'm April. There you go. I'm late.
Oh, okay.
See, you're a little whippersnapper, Mike. What can I
Yeah,
tell
all
you?
right. All right. I can't use that excuse.
Would you be willing to
yeah.
do it, Elizabeth, again? Would you be willing to do it, Mike? You and
Well,
Elizabeth?
if the two veterans aren't ready to go, I mean, you can draft me. I don't want to be the only. I mean, I don't even been to an election forum in years and years and years. So it's going to be
Truth be known,
kind of
truth
fairly
be known,
fair.
Elizabeth did most of the work
Yeah.
last year. So if
Okay.
she's willing, you're
All
it's gonna be
right, all
easy for
right.
you.
I will work with Jack as co-moderator. Right.
But
With,
Mike,
with Mike?
Excuse me, with Mike.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth and Mike. Appreciate that. And again, any
Right.
questions?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Appreciate
Mike,
you.
you can never ever again pull the
All
age.
all right. I give up on that.
Okay.
Not while I'm around.
Okay. Um, any other questions on the forum? Again, we can have an administrative meeting to talk about mechanics if we need it between now and the 21st. That's not a problem.
Okay.
And if you have any questions, just email me. I'll be glad to answer any
Yeah.
questions you have. So we just need to have our ducks in a row by the 21st, and I think we do now. So, or we will. Anything else? Any questions for anyone on the forum? Okay. Item number 4 of the action items is prepare to provide the voter services. Those generally are requests that come in on the VMA elections email. The voter services are listed on page 4 of our voter information packet. And typically it's somebody new moving in who wants to be added to the voter list or wants a kid to be added to the voter list who turned 18, or somebody who realizes now they're not going to be out of town, they need to have send a ballot to a different address or send them an early ballot. Anyway, all the voter services are basically listed there on page 4 of the voter information packet. And typically those come in on the VMA elections email, And typically last year, the year before, I just responded to them. And you all can read what my responses are in the email. If it was somebody needed a replacement ballot, I requested it. I basically instructed Electech to issue a replacement ballot. And you all know that when we issue a replacement ballot, we cancel the initial ballot so nobody can vote twice. Right?
Marty, does that,
Oops.
would you do
Wait,
a
Kim.
reminder in a weekly wrap-up
Oh
about
yeah.
that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's a pretty routine function, so I don't mind doing
Mhm.
that again. If you guys are carrying, the load on some of the other stuff here, that's easy to do. Um, Preparing for election day on May 5th. Essentially, all we need to do at this meeting on that item is to make sure that we are all available on May 5th from 5 to 8 p.m. and we should be there about 4:40 to about 8:15. At the end of the election table process at 8 p.m., um, we as a committee need to do a couple things. Number one, we count all the envelopes that have come into the Dropbox so we know how many have we received. We put them into larger manila envelopes and we sign, like 30 of the sealed ballots in each manila. We each sign them that the election committee as a whole has concurred that there are 30 ballots envelopes in this envelope and 30 in this one. And we give them directly to the Electech employee who is there
Mhm.
to pick up the drop box.
Yep.
So we all need to be there at that 8 p.m. hour on May 8th. And it's really helpful if we're all there at various times during the May 8th evening, although we don't all need to spend all 3 hours there. Typically, we'll have a couple people do an early shift and a couple people do a late shift, it's divided in half. But the state procedures and best practices are that you never leave that Dropbox unattended. And that generally means that you have to have two election officials at that Dropbox, supervising the Dropbox at all times, which is why we want to have, all five of us available at various times between 5 and 8. And we can work out the schedule as we get closer to May 5th. But I just want to make sure everybody saves that date, because we are going to need everybody at 8 p.m. on May 5th.
Mhm.
And we're
Mhm.
going to need various of us from 5 to 8. Any questions about that process? Okay.
Mhm.
We will have food, we will have drinks, we will have ice cream. Questions about maybe May 5th? Okay,
Okay.
going on. Okay, good. Um, the committee report for the April 16th council meeting, I will try to draft to you. Michael Silliman would like to have it by this coming Friday. I will try to get a draft to you ASAP, probably not tonight. And obviously review and edit it as you always do.
Mhm.
The other thing that's not on the agenda that I meant to include is we also need to do a Friday weekly wrap-up bit, which I will try to do for you tomorrow. And I promised that we'd get the Friday wrap-up for this week to Michael as soon as we can, hopefully by Wednesday morning, and that we'd have the committee report for the April 16th meeting to him by this Friday. So you'll have two action items coming from me with drafts for you to mark up.
Mhm.
Okay? And on number 7, there is one other election issue that needs our attention, and that is the list for the postcards. The notification requirements in the election regs say that if you remove somebody from the voter roll, that due process requires you to send them a final notice, which we did last year as a postcard, that says that there is an appeal process. It doesn't describe the appeal process because the regs describe it at some length, but it says there is one. If you think we made a mistake, please let us know, and it gives a date. The draft postcard, or the one, I guess it was an example of the postcard from last year, was in our election committee meeting packet last month. So if you want to look at last month's packet, and I thought it was pretty good. The only question we have for tonight is the list of people. Let's Logan said 63 people were removed, and some of them obviously don't need the postcard. The 4 people who simply moved within the village, right? They're still voters. They don't get we removed you from the voter list, so that's 4. The people who were kids don't need to get that. The people who died don't need to get the postcard. And there are 2 ways to go about this. We could go through the list right now, or I could go through the list tonight as an administrative item and send it to you tomorrow and just have you okay it on an email administratively. Okay, but Jack, we did get, wait, in fact, we all got the list from Logan today of people removed. Did you
Yeah.
all see your email from Logan?
Yes,
Okay. It would be helpful if you would take a look at that. And I don't know, just put check marks next to the people that you think need to get a postcard and then send that check mark list to me. That would be the easiest for me to do. If you would just sort of go through that list. Or maybe
So
just, you know, put X's in front of the ones you think don't need a postcard.
But
could I say one thing quickly, Marty?
Of course, yes.
About this list. So I sent this list out earlier. It should have reasons as well as everything is categorized and it's sorted by category. However, you all can't edit this list. Only I can. So I can at the end of this call, I can resend an editable version for everybody to make comments if they want. Is that something that you guys would like?
Logan, has anyone ever told you
Or
you're terrific? Yes, that would be really helpful.
okay.
Thank you very much for taking the
Okay.
initiative.
Marty,
Yes, Elizabeth?
Yeah,
I
happy
think
to do that.
I missed something in transmission. The postcard is, what is the purpose of
All
the
right,
postcard?
we are required by the regs, and
Yes,
this is due straight out of state and county law, to send a final notification to any voter that we decide to
have
remove
been
from the
removed.
right.
Uh-huh.
And so tonight we just need to have a vote to remove the voters of the 63 voters on Logan's list. All right,
Okay, but why would we send it to some and not to others?
because some of them died, and if they died, they don't need a postcard.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. That's kind
Yeah,
of obvious,
it
right?
depends basically on how they were removed. The four children, we know they were kids. They don't get a postcard. They weren't eligible in the first place. We don't need to
Uh-huh.
send them a postcard. Um, the four people who just moved within the village, they don't get a postcard because they're not actually being removed from the list, although they move. And Logan, you did a beautiful job sort of breaking out the categories here. So not all 63 need to get a postcard. Uh, but I would like your input as committee members on which ones do need to get a postcard.
Could I ask? Logan, could you take the first pass at putting an X next to people who you think need a postcard? And then I'm happy to review that in the morning
Yeah, sure. I'll
or
put
whenever you get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do one column that's like my recommendation, and then I'll have like a EC comments column next to that. If I had to guess, I don't think that many people are going to need postcards because a lot of people have moved out, and we know because new people are confirmed as moving in. Um, yeah, and then their kids and other stuff like that.
and
And
a couple of people died, so
yeah,
that's
Right,
pretty,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Not
and there
all
are a few
63.
duplicates.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
If I had to say there's like one person who is a resident of Pennsylvania, they probably get a postcard because they kind of split time, and then there are two people who allegedly don't exist, but we only know that from someone else in their house, so maybe they do. So
Right,
yeah, I'll
right.
I'll do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
I'm
really
happy
helpful.
to review in the morning and then can let you know once I've reviewed Marty.
Perfect. That's great.
I'll look.
And if everybody could do the same procedure, we got a protocol.
Well, do we
I'll,
need everyone to review?
well, everyone should have a chance to review, right? I mean, if you don't have any comments, you don't need to review it, but more than one of us should look at this list. Um, what we need to do tonight is simply have a vote that of the 63 people that are on Logan's people who are removed list, that we agree that four of them just changed their address. And that leaves 59 that were actually removed from the voter roll as opposed to just moved within it. So what I would like is a motion tonight from somebody to accept that those 59 people are in fact removed from the voter roll. The question of which ones of them need to get the postcards is the administrative due process piece of this, but we need to have a committee vote that we agree to remove the 59 from the voter roll as a whole.
Okay,
That makes
so
sense?
moved.
All right, we got a motion from Mike, a
A
second.
second,
All in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, so we have 59
I
people actually
have a quick
removed.
question about move outs. You know,
Yeah.
we do provide that some people who are living elsewhere are eligible to vote. Do just the fact that I don't even know if we know where they moved to. So could we send them a postcard anyway? But um,
That is a great
how do
question.
you separate that list?
I'm happy to dive into that. Back in 22, the council changed the definition of qualified voters to include people who still owned property in Martin's Additions but no longer lived here, like rented out their house because they were working for the State Department or they were in the military or whatever. We have two of those people at the very end of the voter roll. The Cisnas are in Thailand, and they're going to get early ballots. They've already sent us by email a request for early ballots, and I've already notified Electec to expect those two early ballots, that we will instruct them to send it. In the meantime, the people who've moved out and sold their houses are no longer qualified voters.
Okay.
Only an absentee owner who has notified the committee
Okay.
that they are still voters, that this is still their primary voting or their sole voting residence, uh, can get that. So the Cisnas did that. I sent them an email earlier in the process this spring, and they got back with a written request that yes, we are still voters. This Martin's Additions is our sole voting address,
Okay.
and we're absentee landlords. We have not sold our house. So anything that where somebody sold the house, they're no longer a resident.
Okay.
So
Right.
that cuts down on the number of postcards we need to send.
Okay.
But it's that attention to detail that makes elections, accurate. And again, our election's going to be decided by 2 votes, so this accuracy does matter. Good question. Other questions? Jack, you look thoughtful, or are you just tired?
Yeah, just 9.
It is. Well, we're almost
Just
done here.
approaching my
I
bedtime.
hope we're
Yeah,
almost
mine
done.
too. Elizabeth, know me?
No, I'm thinking about, I have to go down and make dinner for 6 people, so
Oh, we'll
I'll
get
think
done quick as we can.
Yeah, let's
All
make
right.
it short. I do
Okay.
too. Yeah.
So we have agreed. We had a vote. 59 people have actually been removed.
yes,
4 have
we got
changed
the
address.
vote.
Okay, and Logan will get back to us tomorrow with who needs postcards. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we need to do. Are there any other issues or questions that anybody has? Any issues from people who are attending this meeting? Any questions? All good?
Yeah.
Again, thank you to the candidates who attended, and big thanks to Logan, and a big thank you also to Michael Silliman. Committee assignments, I think we can go through those pretty quickly. Logan's going to do a couple of documents for us. The committee's going to get back to me tomorrow on who gets the postcards, and I will follow up with a couple of the documents that we need to do the Friday wrap-up draft, and then after that, I'll get the committee report draft to you all for your comments. Okay.
Ballot packets.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, yeah. The other thing is, yeah, good reminder. We all need to get back to me tomorrow with any final changes or corrections on the ballot packets. Okay.
Okay.
What happens after we approve the ballot packet tomorrow by administrative email? I send instructions through Michael Silliman to Electec to have Electec do 2 things. First is that we approve the packet, and second is to mail that packet to do the test mailing to the 5 of us tomorrow. Right? If we approve the packet tomorrow morning, they'll do the test mailing tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll have one more shot, making sure that in fact that they did include the privacy envelope and that they did put the return postage on the envelopes like they were supposed to. So yeah, that will become mailed tomorrow. Okay. It's not even 9 o'clock yet, and we're ready to wrap up here. Any other questions from anyone? Any other comments? Well, then I'm looking for a motion to adjourn at 8:54 p.m.
So moved.
Second, Mike seconds.
Okay,
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
bye.
Elizabeth, have fun with dinner. I'm sorry.
Uh,
Yeah. Well,
Good
And
night.